Hello everybody. Today we're going to take a look at two-step equations with negative variables. Okay, so we're at WAMAP. This is Unit 3, Math 055, 054, 055. And we'll take a look at this first one. 8 minus x is equal to 7. So we have a negative variable here. This is the equivalent of negative x. And I'm going to work both problems today. 6 is equal to negative x minus 3. Okay, let's take a look at how these go. Okay, so 8 minus x is equal to 7. We would just treat this like a regular problem. We're going to do the same thing to both sides. And so what's happening to the x right now? So we have a positive 8 with the negative x. A couple of different ways to solve this problem because the negative is variable. We can still subtract 8 from both sides if we want to start that way. So let's subtract 8 from both sides. And these two 8's cross out, positive 8 and negative 8 cross out, leaving negative x, and don't forget your negative sign there. And that's equal to, we have here positive 7, negative 8, so the signs are different. When you combine numbers where the signs are different, you take the difference between them. Difference between 8 and 7 is 1, and the number with the larger absolute value is 8, and that's negative. So the sign on our answer will also be negative. So this is a preliminary answer. We have negative x, but we are asked to solve for x, which is not negative x. So what we can do, we need a positive x, and can you think how to do that? So the answer here is to multiply both sides by a negative 1. Negative 1, and then negative 1. We can just square that or just say negative 1 times 1. So it's equivalent. So negative times a negative is positive, and 1 times x is x. So we have a positive x, and that's going to be equal to whatever negative 1 times negative 1 is, which is positive 1. So we don't have to write the positive signs because it's assumed they are positive. X is equal to 1. And then we can plug this 1 back into our original statement. 8 minus x is equal to 7. If we put a 1 in here for x, is 8 minus 1 equal to 7? Yes, it is. And so that's the answer. Some of you may have been able to see that this would be x is equal to 1. It's rather simple when you look at it from a different perspective, but it's important to know how to do these steps and how to handle a negative variable. So there will be some sort of conversion, and multiplying both sides by negative 1 is usually the easiest way. And universally in math, when we solve for a variable, we solve for the positive version of that variable. And sometimes this positive variable can be a negative number, which we'll see in the next problem. So let's take a look at that. 6 is equal to negative x minus 3. Okay, so for this one, let's go ahead and just start with the usual. We'll add 3 to both sides. And that'll give us 9 on the left. And that's going to be, these 3's will cancel out. And then so 9 is equal to negative x, right? And so this is great, except we need to solve for x, not for negative x. So solving for x means we would have to change the signs. And again, it's a very simple thing, but you just have to remember to do it. We're not adding this, we're multiplying by negative 1. As long as you do the same thing to both sides, you'll be good. So here we have negative 1 times positive 9. The signs are different, so you're going to get a negative answer, which is negative 9. And that's going to be equal to negative x times negative 1, which is positive 1x, or we can just write x. So now we have solved for x, and x is equal to negative 9, and we can plug that in here. And this one's a little bit tricky because they're saying 6 is equal to negative x minus 3. So negative x, we have to plug in negative 9 in here for the x part, but that is negative, right? So we have negative 9 minus 3 is equal to 6. That's what they're saying. So what's negative 9? So you could think of this negative negative as -1 times -9, which will give you +9. So we get 9 minus 3, and that's equal to 6. And that's a true statement. So we know that that answer works. But this is a little bit tricky, so please practice these problems with the negative variable, because you have to be able to make the variable positive, and the easiest way to do that is to multiply both sides by -1. So review your multiplication by negative numbers and work a few similar problems so that you really know how to do this. Give it a try, and if you run into trouble, send me an email, and let's go look at these problems. I'll show you how to input these. The first one was 1, right? So we just put a 1 in that box. And the point here is not seeing that 8 minus something is 7. Well, something must be 1. But to know the process for working that out. That's why I have you turn in your worksheets. So see how we did on this one. Okay, that was correct. And for the second problem, we said x was equal to -9. So we're going to put in -9. And so you can work a similar problem. 3 minus x is equal to -1. So many of you may be able to see the answer, and these are pretty basic, but make sure you work through the steps so that you learn the process. That algorithm is really important, and this is where you build those basic skills. Let's do a similar question here, just see what it looks like. -1 is equal to -x plus 1. So these would be an interesting problem to work and see if you can get right, but you can work on those yourself. And I would always suggest trying to work a similar problem at WAMAP. It'll help polish your skills. Anyway, that's all I've got for this this lesson. If you get into trouble, send me an email and we can work it out together.